Hi everybody, Greg Monzel here with Wild Persimmon School of Wellness. We're out today trimming up our red raspberries and harvesting medicine for the fall. With red raspberries, we're harvesting the leaves, and the fall is the traditional season to gather them. They start to take on a little bit of a droopy characteristic. They get a little bit of a reddish, rusty color to the leaf, and that's the perfect time to gather them. I gather the leaves off of the first year canes in the fall, and the second year canes, which have fruited this year, the leaves are already turning yellow, the canes are dying back, and the energy is going back into the roots of the plant. So I'm not going to harvest that for medicine. I will prune these out, however. What I do harvest for medicine are the fresh green growth, such as this, or I'll take this one, this is even better. You can see it kind of sprawls around, they're rambling brambles, and so I'm going to prune this up where it starts to bend over. That's going to allow this cane to branch out next year and give me a lot of nice flowering stalks. This is great medicine though for making tea. So I'm going to harvest off the green leaves here, and these will go in my my little basket I have tucked back here, which is off camera for you guys. And so once I've pruned up my my whole patch here and got all the leaves ready to go, we'll take it up and we'll dry it on a drying rack up on the deck. Well, we're back up on the deck now with our harvest of raspberry leaves. We'll be drying these outside. I like to dry my herbs outside initially to let the bugs disperse out of them a little bit. You know, there were leaf hoppers and little critters throughout here. We even saw 4 praying mantids while we were harvesting, which was pretty cool. And just a small section. Raspberries, even though they're not really native to this part of Indiana, still support a lot of insect life, which we like. Mine came to me through my auntie up in Minnesota. That's where I got my red raspberries. And they are native to Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and more northerly areas. So I'm spreading out my raspberry leaf now into an even layer across this. This is going to allow air to flow over and under them. And as they dry, I want to kind of fluff this up and rotate them from time to time. To keep them from blowing away, it's a breezy day, which is great for drying herbs, but they can blow around easily. I'm going to put this fitted sheet over the top of the whole thing. This will also keep sunlight off of the herbs so that it doesn't compromise their quality, because sunlight will break down your herbs very quickly in many cases. A fitted sheet works nicely because that elastic in there just helps keep it pinned on there. There we go. Doesn't look like much, but it's an effective drying rack. If you don't have a drying rack like this, you can use just some sheets of newspaper or a clean sheet put out on a table, or even a clean floor. I've seen that done in places like Cuba before. So once this is dried, we'll move on to the grinding process and cutting it down into a tea. Thanks. So we are back 1 week later with our red raspberry leaf, and we have diligently every day taken it outside during the heat of the day and let it dry out on the deck, on the drying rack here with a screen over it, and then each evening taking it in before the dew settles so that it has dried really nicely. And I can tell it's dry enough now because when I press the tip of the leaf, it breaks, it cracks right off of there, and so it doesn't bend over, it doesn't wrinkle on there, it doesn't crunch, it just snaps right off. So that's how you know it's ready to go. And so what I'm using here, this is a 1/4-inch mesh screen that I have a set of these that are different sizes, and I use this one for cutting tea grade herbs. So when I'm cutting it for, you know, the final product is tea, I use this 1/4-inch mesh. If I'm cutting it for spices, I use 1/8 of an inch. But so I'll just take the whole raspberry leaf here, and it goes in the screen, and I just rub it right through the screen. And if you've seen herbs labeled cut sifted before, this is the cut portion of the process. And if you can see in there, the central stems are coming off, so that's the rachis, the central stem on a pinnately divided leaf like that. And so I'm going to kind of pull those out as we go and toss those aside. It's easier to just kind of clean them out as we go than having to pick them out later. The screen helps get them out, but it doesn't get them all out by any means. So I often kind of put them through here a couple times to get the final product. But so the whole batch will go through this screen. So then by the time I'm done, it's all ready to go to blend into teas to make for products. And you can see here what the final product is. This looks much more kind of like what you might be accustomed to seeing in commerce. The cut leaf, it's kind of clumpy in a way. The mucilage sort of clumps together in it. I don't know, raspberry leaf is kind of interesting in that way. I don't know quite why it does that. But you see the silvery undersides of the leaf and the nice green upper side of the leaf. There's no brown in here. This is nice and green. This is a good quality, well-dried product. This is what you want to see. So from here, we can blend this into dried teas, or we could mix it with other herbs and brew it fresh, which we'll demonstrate shortly. Okay, so at this stage we are going to package up our red raspberry leaf. I have a clean gallon glass jar. This is an old pickle jar from the sandwich shop. You know, I get these from Parvi's, or used to, and I got about 100 of these. I'm using almost all of them right now, which is great. And okay, what I'm doing is setting up the scale, so I've tared out the weight so I can find out how much of my final product I've got here. So I'm using a scoop now, and I'll just scoop in this beautiful raspberry leaf. So one reason I use glass here is that plastic will allow some of the oils to escape in plants and is actually more permeable than we tend to think about it. So I like glass for that reason, but also keeps the air in or the humidity out, however you want to look at that. The dry air in or humidity out of your final product so that it's not molding in storage. I've had a lot of plants before, you know, I got better at drying them, that did not hold over very well. Things like slippery elm bark, where you really want every bit of that to be useful. So, like I showed you earlier, you can tell it's dry because the leaf just snaps right off. It does not bend, and so then you want to get it into storage right away after you're done processing. So you can see I've got right at about a gallon of this raspberry leaf, and it's just over 9 ounces. So this is just over half a pound of raspberry leaf. So it's not a lot. You know, the commercial value of this is probably about 12 bucks. But you know, I'll sell this as tea, and in tea blends I can charge a little bit more for it. You know, I like to mix raspberry leaf tea up with other herbs for mothers, especially. That's kind of there's the most demand for raspberry leaf among expecting and recently new mothers that are out there. And I've placed a label inside this. So my label has the common name, the scientific name, the date that I'm putting it in the jar, where I've harvested it from, which is wild persimmon, and then whether it's cultivated or wildcrafted. Those are all important things for me to keep track of. And I use a full sheet of standard paper in there, and that acts in part as a desiccant to draw out any moisture that might accumulate in this, but also it helps protect, you know, this whole side from light. So when I put this into storage and I put it next to other jars that are similar to it, it blocks most of the light from contacting the herb where it degrades the value of it. So that's nice. I'm really happy with this harvest. It looks great. Thanks for joining me for making this. One other thing though, I guess before I seal it up here, is I want to make some raspberry leaf tea as well. So I have my trusty old cast iron teapot here, which I've had for 20 years or so. And I'll just take a little bit of this out, a little bit, you know, as I'm taking out I want this to be kind of like richly flavored. I wouldn't necessarily use this for a standard pot for medicine use. This is a little bit much. I've probably got, you know, three tablespoons here or so. I'm just going to put that right in there, and then I'm going to pour about a liter of water over that, which I guess I don't have out here. But I'll pour some hot water over this, and then I'm going to serve this up just raspberry leaf for now. We're going to do a little tasting here with my family and see how they like it, see what they think would be good to combine with it. And maybe I can get Colleen to share with you also a little bit about times that she's used it. So anyway, we'll be back with more. Thanks. Okay, well let's get our raspberry iced tea made and give it a taste here. Okay. Add a little ice to the tea that's in the ewer. That's a nice sound. Okay.
All right, I'll pour us some. I'll top her off.
Top us off here, Colleen. Hartford, hey, I have a quiz for you. What plant family is the raspberry in? What plant family?
Rosea?
Very close. Rosa is the genus of rose, and Rosaceae. Remember how you asked me about the ACE, why all the plant names sometimes end with ACE?
Yeah.
That means it's the family. So Rosaceae is the family that includes the raspberry. Very good. So this is Rubus idaeus, the red raspberry. Let's give it a little taste, and you can maybe describe after you give it a try how it tastes.
Cheers. It tastes kind of like fresh and purified, you know? Yeah, I think it has like almost a grassy kind of flavor.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to green tea. You know, it's there's a certain thing in there that gives it that clean, slightly drying quality. Do you know the word I use to describe that flavor? That drying flavor.
Astringent.
Astringent. Good.
You got it.
Yeah, so it has a little bit of an astringent flavor. It has a little bit of the berry flavonoids too. Do you taste any of that in there? Can you taste the raspberry in it?
A little tart.
Just barely, right? Just a tiny hint of a berry flavonoid flavor. But you still get some of those benefits for your cardiovascular system in there.
It does have a tiny sweet tart quality, actually. I can taste it.
That sounds about right. Very, very light hint of fruit flavor. Mostly you're tasting that leaf, right? And so the astringent quality in this, it's cleansing on the palate, but it's also beneficial for other organs too. Colleen, do you want to tell us about how you used it during pregnancy?
Sure. So I know that it was mixed in with the nettle and the milky oats and tulsi for my prenatal daily tea blend. And I think I remember you telling me that it could help reduce the risk of hemorrhaging during birth. So helping to, so that I don't bleed as much, I guess.
That's the idea, yeah. The astringent, that's going to help to tone the muscles and help prepare the uterus for delivery, but also then help heal up after delivery as well. But in folks who maybe aren't pregnant, it's still a relevant plant. It could be beneficial, for somebody else who might just want to tone up the muscles for any reason in kind of the pelvic floor and general, reproductive organs. So it's not just for females, so don't think it's just a ladies' herb as some people do. I think it's fantastic.
Well, this is great. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing with me. And thank you for watching this video with us. It's been lovely to share this tea virtually with you.
Cheers.
Cheers.